Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Luis here, Green Zebra Gardening. Today we're obviously at the plot. Today I work from home, and so I'm here a little earlier. I kind of messed around at home and didn't leave right away right after work. But overall, it's pretty much right after work. Anyway, so I just shot a video of me basically just watering the garden. I don't know if that's gonna be a part of this video. I might just mix it in pieces here and there. But I also wanted to time myself as to how long it normally takes me just for the basic process when I come over here, water, kind of check on things, and take about 10-15 minutes. So it's not a terrible amount of time. I did have to do the house, so that obviously took time. Usually I stop in on the way home, so I'm literally driving down the street right there. So I just pull over and come over. Anyway, so I showed you, I shot a video yesterday on my way home from work for the radishes to give you an update as to what's going on. It is now, what the hell is today? Wednesday. I planted these a week ago. I need to thin them. So that's why you guys are here. So for radishes and for any root crops or really any plants, you definitely don't want to give them or not give them enough space. Sorry, I was getting something out of the way. You definitely want to give them enough space. You definitely want to make sure that they are not overcrowded, which this obviously is. So in this case, oh, it is tight down over there. Hold on. Probably should have done this beforehand, but there are a lot of roly-polies in this thing. I can see them all over. Once you really get close and once you kind of hang, you can see it all. Hold on. Sweet. So that's basically turned into a wall. When I showed up, though, there was some digging back here. There was a little bit of digging over there. I actually found these hoops, and they have binder clips on them. The only thing is I'd have to go out and get some netting. I'm going to sit on this wet spot for you guys. So I'd have to go get some netting, and then that way to hold it down, literally onto here. And I think I have enough to do the whole bed. So I might just do that, just put some bird netting on this. That whole section back here is still going to be open. I did start pulling out some of the little weeds out of here. But overall, in this video, I'm going to go through and start thinning these. I am also looking for any veggies or any seeds that have popped up that I actually want to grow. We have a little patch right here of beets. The main one here is radishes. We've got some nasturtiums. I had nasturtiums in like a third of this bed, and so I'm sure it dropped a bunch of seeds. Anyway, with these radishes, these are edible. These are basically microgreens. So these are microgreens. You can go ahead and put them onto your avocado toast or onto your food. I do make a good homemade ramen, and so you can also use that to top it off. Anything use regular microgreens. So you can go ahead and just pull them out entirely like that. Or in order to not mess up the roots below, you can go ahead and just snip them off the soil. So let me grab my scissors. I did bring a container for them. I may or may not rinse them here. I may just rinse them at home. Alright, so we just did some fancy video work there. Check it out. So, of course, the planes want to come by. So I think these are beets, a good chunk of them, but not all of them. So it is helpful to be here for not only thinning out the radishes. I might also do some beets like these right here. Looks like I had a nice drop of seeds here, and then over there they kind of spread out a little more. So not really all that great. Over here we have these are the zinnias, baby zinnias. Anyway, for the video you came to see. So I got the scissors and just a basic container. Most of our containers at home are glass, and so I had to actually find a plastic one because I just don't want to run the risk of breaking it. So with these, you want to leave about 2 to 3 inches between seeds, or sorry, between plants at this point. That way they have their own space and they can actually size up. These are French breakfast mostly. There's white radish sparklers, something along those lines. Sparkling white radishes, I don't know. It's only sparkling if they come from a certain area of France where sparkling radishes are grown. Okay, so you can go ahead, oh perfect, you can go ahead and just pull them out. I'm going to click that off, drop it into the container. Or you can go ahead and just, you can just go ahead and use the scissors. With the scissors, it's a much cleaner cut obviously, and that way you are not disturbing the roots down in there. And so you definitely just want to go in, you can see this, let me do it from over here. And so then that way you guys are definitely not picking up all that dirt and all that soil with it. You probably still want to go ahead and rinse these off. If you're not a microgreen farmer specifically, you may or may not know, some of these seem like a little too big for radishes for some reason. So essentially you're just going to go through and split these, or just cut these out about 2 to 3 inches apart, and then that way they'll have more space to grow. These ones are like basically in small clumps, and so you might actually just do that. Just do that. This could also would have been easier to avoid if I had just seeded these appropriately and not like basically scrunched them up like I did all over here. So let me go ahead and set this on time lapse. I'll move the camera to the other side so you guys are working down the row with me. I'll set you guys up over there, and then now you guys can see this way, and then go from there. Alright, so how's this thing go? Do as I say, not as I'm doing. Sorry, do as I say, but not as I'm actually doing it myself. However that goes. Follow my teachings, but don't follow my actual actions, essentially. So, yeah, definitely don't do it that way. So, a couple things. One, definitely do not overseed. I think I overseeded on this just because it was some old radish seed, and honestly I think it was like a few years old, and I think I read at one point that radish seed is good for, or it's pretty viable for 4 to 5 years, maybe 5 to 6, don't quote me on that, depending on the variety or depending on the seed type. Certain seeds are only good for like a year, like their germination rate drops dramatically, meaning they're not going to grow after like the first year. I think spinach, I know onions are like that. Spinach I think is another one. Certain seeds, I think one of the rules of thumb is the bigger the seed, the longer it's good for. Not always, but I think that's part of it. So radish seed are pretty good, I think, for let's just say 4 to 6 years. I don't remember. So at any rate, I went ahead and overseeded. So don't overseed is one. 2, try and use newer seed, regardless if it's even good for 4 or 5 years. I've gotten into the habit, or I was in the habit of just getting all the seeds that I possibly could, and so that's part of the reason why I have so many now, and that's why now I'm just trying to seed and use up everything I have. So this is not even an ideal situation as far as how much I thinned, and then just pulling out the clumps, because that's why you have so much dirt in here, is definitely not the way to go. I just figured that because I have so many radish seed that I was gonna be okay, or so many radish plants, that I'm gonna be okay if, there are small gaps in between them, more than like the 2 to 3 inches. There's a gap right in here. I think those might actually be marigolds, but I don't know. Somebody decided to go down the street all extra loud. I'll do the reduce the background noise when I edit this, but I don't know how good it's going to be. Anyway, so that's essentially what you would end up with, minus all the dirt. I'm going to probably take these home, rinse these off really well, let them through the colander quite a few times in the salad spinner maybe, and go from there. But that's essentially what you could do. And so you could just grow these in probably a container this big, fill it up with soil, lay the seed on top, pat it down, lightly cover it in soil, keep it moist, keep it in a windowsill, and you can literally grow microgreens in something like this. Put it underneath the lamp, put it outside, depending on which way the light is or the window is facing. If it's a south facing window, you might be okay. Depending on obviously the zone that you're in, if it's near a window, it might be cold, so you might want to have it somewhere else, not necessarily on a heat mat, but at least under a light. It could be just a basic little lamp. Obviously, it's got to be bright enough in order to, to get it going. But at any rate, this is my thinning for now. Just because, and so that's rule, I don't know, we're at 3. Well, so 1, don't overseed if it's fresher seed. 2, seed more sparingly, which essentially is the same rule, just said it a little differently. And rule number 3, or my guide, I don't always thin every last one. I will do them in stages. Depending on what it is, I might just do them in stages. I did that with carrots. I had a row of carrots going down the middle. I think I had like 2 or 3 rows. And I also had them in that bed and that corner. And I had them in over here. And that was it. So I had the massive row going down the middle. I had them all mixed up in that side and all mixed up in this side. Obviously for the winter. And so I went through, and after they had grown a decent size, the carrots, I went through and I started plucking them out. And so, yeah, we got some baby, ish carrots. But then once I thinned them out, sorry, this loud plane just went by. Like there have been other ones, but this one is just really bad. Anyway, so I was saying about carrots. So I had the row here, I had some over there in that corner, and then I had some here for the winter. I went through and I let them get to a decent size. Decent maybe being, that's what, maybe 2 or 3 inches tall. And then so I slowly just started pulling out. I didn't want to pull them all out at once because you do want to give them breathing room. You just didn't want to pull them all out at once. And so I gave them slowly gave them breathing room. So I got some that were really small carrots. Then I came back later, did another thinning. They were little bigger carrots. And at the end of it all, I was left with maybe a dozen carrots here, probably about another dozen over there, and another dozen over here, and they were all decent size because I had thinned them. Not only that, these are microgreens, these will go quickly, these won't take long, but I also didn't want to end up with dozens and dozens of carrots all at once. Overall, I think I got 2 or 3 dozen, maybe 4 dozen carrots, so it was nice. The other reason I kind of don't want to do the beets is because a lot of people grow beets multi-sown, meaning they have multiple seeds. I mean, a beet, quote unquote, seed is a cluster anyway, so you're probably going to get 2 or 3 out of there anyway. And so if you put multiples in the hole, then multiple physical seeds or multiple clusters essentially, you're going to end up with a lot more. I think that plane is gone. I actually just paused it on that one. Basically, yes, you have clusters. And so those I kind of want to see, and I kind of did that over here over the winter, where I just had a bunch of beets. I kind of let them go, and I did the same thing as I did the carrots. As the beets were getting to a certain size, I would if it was a small cluster, I'd pull out 2 or 3, or maybe even just 1 or 2. And then I would leave the smaller ones, kind of cover them back up a little, and they would keep growing. Anyway, this was only supposed to be a quick um, thinning video. It's probably going to be longer than that. But I might actually just go ahead and clip this down and do it as a short or reel or something on Instagram. But I will go ahead and leave the long form one here. Yeah, that's a question for you guys. Would you prefer more of a long form content where I kind of go over multiple projects at once, or where I just do individually? I think individually, because if you're only looking for one, you don't care about the others and you don't want to sit through the others. So anyway, I think that's going to be it on this video. I've watered. I'm going to cover this thing back up. I might go out at some point and see if I can find some netting, cover that up. I do have the clips for it. I'm going to water. Today is Wednesday. Thursday, I'm at the office, but I'll swing by here just to water, just to make sure. I did take off the cardboard off the carrots. I don't know if I just haven't kept up on them well enough, but I don't see them coming up again. It does take them time to come up. I think 7 to 14 days, so we'll see. But so far, I'm really happy. The digging animals is freaking annoying, but the stuff is actually holding on pretty well. I think it's obviously because of this thing, the chicken wire. The only problem is going to be that once these guys outgrow and once the other stuff outgrows, I'm not going to be able to put it on there. I do have more of these, and so I might just do the entire bed with this, so that might be another layer of protection, and it'll just be basic bird netting. But again, once the plants start really growing in, especially the ones back here, they usually won't mess with it. So I gotta kind of find something in here. Although once these guys are gone, my marigolds at home started coming up yesterday, a couple days ago, and so I'm definitely going to put that in here. So I think as long as they don't see any open soil, I think we're good. So I think it's like keep them both up. So these will be the first ones to go. The beets will probably be the next ones. The carrots, if they ever come up, and I'm waiting for bush beans. I may have to look up how long bush beans usually take to germinate, because it's been a minute. It's been a week, because I planted those last Wednesday. I planted this whole thing, this whole section here on Wednesday. Anyways, now I'm rambling. Hi guys, thank you for hanging out with me. Sorry about the rambling. Questions, comments, concerns, constructive criticism, leave them in the show notes, leave them down below. I guess that's it. Subscribe, hit the bell notification. Now I'm really rambling. Catch you guys later. Peace.